Good morning and welcome to another wellness weekend. My name is Kathy Ranieses. I am the in-house life coach at Centro Holistico, and joining me today is one of our Centro doctors, Doc Judith. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. Eh,
How are you this morning? Are you still in Baguio or ano?
no. Been in lockdown here since I think start of September pa.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. So you just been
So
indoors basically for the most of September.
indoors basically September pa.
Kas ka-stress, no? Parang like you were supposed to be getting out and getting sunshine and,
Yes,
strengthening our immune system and staying positive. This
that's
whole
true.
lockdown, really isn't helping our mental
Yeah,
health and our
it's
physical health.
it's a bit demoralizing kasi even though you think na you're doing all the correct protocols yourself just to be able to go
Mm,
out, no, but we understand it's delta, it's another kind of animal still.
yeah,
It shouldn't be just lockdowns. If you do the
yeah.
lockdowns, there's a specific time period for lockdowns and it shouldn't take
Mm,
forever. Within that lockdown, dapat meron ng naayos kasi. Hopefully we get
yeah,
like better supply of vaccines. Yan, yung mga yan. Anyway,
exactly.
there's a lot more than lockdown sana. And then we won't be
Mm.
doing these kinds of lockdowns for like we're the longest
Oo.
lockdown country.
Totoo, kasi forever lockdown tayo. Naiinggit ako mga kaibigan ko sa Denmark,
Yeah.
they're back to normal na. And then Europe is kind of
Oo.
back to open up and we're
Yeah.
still on face shields.
Yeah. And we're not so our neighbors 1 hour away, Hong Kong has
Hmm.
zero cases.
Ah,
China, if you
talaga?
see them, they're normal na sila since I think last year.
Hmm. Ano talaga tayo,
Yun.
no?
So
Kaloka.
we really need to catch up. Oo.
Mm-mm. True, which is why like
And
I love doing these wellness weekends with you and the other central doctors and our guests because at least, this is an extra parang kumbaga like an extra toolkit, in our kind of health arsenal.
yep.
So, even if yes, we are kind of stuck in lockdown, we really can't go out. It's nice to get educated with, the different modalities that we have, whether it be functional medicine or traditional Chinese medicine. With you guys here at Centro, just so we have that extra education that we can use to, aside from the vaccine, to also naturally strengthen our immune system. I think then kasi there's this iniisip natin na, oh, once we get vaccinated, okay na tayo. We're more or less
Yeah.
bulletproof from getting like the bad case of COVID. But then
Yeah.
if you have comorbidities, if you don't change your toxic lifestyle, kung tuloy-tuloy ka pa din sa kinakain mong hindi naman nakakaganda sa'yo, you're still headed down that path. Which is what we're kind of talking about today, Dr. Judith, right? The traditional Chinese medicine route towards a better diet to help raise our immune system. So, Doc Judith, can you tell us a little bit muna about what traditional Chinese medicine is and just how wonderful this whole branch is and how practical it is for the 21st century?
Yeah. Okay, so for TCM existed for they keep telling it it's like for more than 5,000 years, but that's the only period where they discovered the book that they use as a Bible now,
Mm,
which they call the Yellow Emperor's Book. So TCM is based on belief of yin and yang, which are two energies that balance each other out. So um, from yin and yang, it's also connected to five elements. And from these five elements, there's always a five after that. So there's like five
mm,
flavors, five emotions. So marami. maraming nabubuo out of this yin and yang idea of balance. So basically, if we take it into a philosophy, it just says too little or too much of something is a bad thing. So it needs to be balanced. Yun lang naman yun. Yin and
Mm.
yang, basically, if we give meaning to it, these are opposites that try to maintain a balance. Kumbaga, if
Mm.
it's water, you keep the water lukewarm. Alright? So basically, from what we commonly hear, yin is cold or dormant, silent.
Mm.
That's why it's also said that nighttime is yin, yang is daytime. Okay, it represents heat, the sun, and movement. So it's the more active part. And
Mm.
these two together tries to balance each other out. So the belief is that each item in the universe, each being, each non-living thing, living thing, has its own yin and yang balance inside. So, for
Mm.
example, a female person, we are not solely full yin, okay? Because yin is associated with female. We are a
Yeah.
balance of yin and yang, but predominantly yin, and that's what's
Mm.
making the being yin. Okay. So for that yin to be powerful, the yang need to be a little bit smaller. So it's very similar to traditional Western medicine, actually,
Yeah.
where we can compare it with the hormones, male and female hormones, where we have both. It's
Yeah.
just that for females, we have predominantly female hormones, and that's what makes
Mm.
our function female. So yun.
Mm.
So that's yin and yang. It's the balance of the
Mm.
universe.
So interesting. So it's basically just really just
I
yeah, the
think that's it.
concept.
Kasi
It's
baka
really
mas
just
lumalim tayo.
the concept of balance.
Yeah.
And yun yeah, parang balance on the outside and balance on the inside. Well, I think in this day and age, we really aren't balanced on the outside or on the inside, with what's going on. And I think we're slowly starting to accept that this pandemic is gonna become an endemic now. Like there is no, no, we just need to figure out how to live with this at this point. Um,
Yeah.
which is why I think, like, the concept of
Yes.
incorporating traditional Chinese medicine is so important as well, because we kind of turn to Chinese medicine a lot. At least I noticed in our culture, when it comes to healing, like long-term healing. That's where we go to Binondo and we get our teas and stuff like that. I know I have a lot of friends who, after they gave birth, they get a lot of TCM remedies, or
Yeah.
mga, especially, I have some friends whose moms or mother-in-laws are Chinese, and may pinapaliguan pa yan ng kung ano-ano to help them kind of
Yeah.
help their body heal along with
Yeah.
teas. Um, Diba? Which is why I kind of feel like this conversation about diet and what to eat in order to heal is so important. And I love that the Chinese medicine is also in line with Western medicine, wherein they believe that food is medicine or food is information. Could you talk to us a little bit, Doc, about
Yep.
how TCM explains that?
Okay. So for TCM, if we draw a map for the organ system in the body, the
Hmm.
center will always be the stomach.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is the stomach represents your earth element, which is the center of all the other elements. And the reason it's because our energy, okay, our yang energy in particular, it all comes from the stomach because that's where we receive
Hmm.
food. So the other elements or the other organ systems, they receive energy from this vessel, from the
Yeah.
stomach, and that's how important the stomach is. And so we see that in the culture itself, and that TCM very compatible with Filipino culture. It's because our culture is centered around food as well.
Totoo
If
yan.
you notice, no. So for Filipinos, if we see some person saying, "Hey, kumusta?" Yeah, what else do we ask? We ask like, "Oh, kumain ka na? Have you
Mhm.
eaten? O anong
Mm.
kinain nyo kanina?" So it's always centering around food. And then
Mm.
it's the same. When I went to China, the way they tell you like, "Hey, how are you?" on the while when you encounter each other is kumain ka na. So
Mm.
chill ma, ganun sila. So
Oo.
you just pretend like you ate already even if you haven't yet. So it's your way of responding to yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
hi Estelle, I'm doing okay. So
Mm.
that's how centered everything is on the stomach or on food. And it's a particularly important thing because most of the medicines we use actually really goes through the stomach. And even in Western medicine, the most efficient way to get nutrients still is through the stomach. So kahit ano pa yung ininom, whether drink, most of it always goes to the stomach. And it's quite true in the hospital setting as well because at least from my experience, if I see patients who are unable to eat anymore, ang bilis ng deterioration. So if they
Hmm.
start to go IV to feed the person
Oo.
instead of going through the stomach, it becomes, you know where the patient is going already. And that's how
Hmm.
important the stomach is. It's still the number one provider of nutrients and the most efficient way to distribute energy sources. So that's how important stomach is. And
Yeah.
food
Hmm.
as fuel for everything that we need for our body, including our immune system.
Oh, for sure. I think that like I think it was Doc Sasa that told me that really food is information, and it never really sunk in until I started talking to you guys and learning more
Yes.
about traditional Chinese medicine and the effects. Parang we just kind of think na kain lang tayo ng kain, and parang basta lang makakain. Tapos tayo pa mga Pinoy, ang hilig natin sa matamis tsaka maalat. And I didn't think much of it
Yeah.
until,
Yeah.
until I started talking to you guys. And
Maalat.
with
And oily
oh,
actually.
totoo, sweet, oily, and salty. So none of them are good. None of them help with balance. When
Yeah.
with TCM, you guys talk about, is it the 4 or 5 natures of food?
For seasons.
4 seasons of food. I think there's just a
Yeah, for
little bit of a
seasons.
lag. Mm.
Yeah, but I did get the 4 seasons. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't follow the 4 seasons in the
Mm.
Philippines because we don't have the
You don't
four
have it,
seasons. We
yeah.
only have two. So basically, the understanding there is that the 4 seasons follow also the 5 elements. Again,
Mm.
yeah. So it again is tied up to that concept of 5 elements. And per season, there are elements that dictate which one is best because these 5 elements have 5 organs, right? These 5 organ systems are predominant or vulnerable during these 4 seasons.
Mm.
And that's how food comes in. So, which ones are the right ones to eat to strengthen this organ, which you need in particular for this season or which are vulnerable for this season. So, ganon siya. Which shows that commercialization aside of and production, it's really seasonal food at that time or at that time of harvest. That's beneficial for you. So, ang galing. Kasi, whatever nature provides at that season, that's the one that's supposed to help your body at that season.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So, for example, during winter time, the most vulnerable actually organ there is the kidneys. So it's not just the kidneys per se, but it's the kidney system. So if you think about it, it includes also your urinary system, and it includes your reproductive system. Sometimes it sounds like, because they have to translate TCM terms to English, sometimes we think of the organ itself. Hindi po. It's an organ system, really. That's the actual translation. So it's some part of it is urinary, some part of it is reproductive as well. So the kidneys become vulnerable in winter. So there's a lot, because before they observed that there's a lot, probably because people eat a lot of soup with salt in it. So the best food that we recommend during winter are gourds. And these gourds are being harvested and they're seasonal during winter time. So these gourds would help the kidney strengthen. That's how it works. And then your kidney will be strong enough to because kidney is a cold organ, so it would need heat to be able to balance it out. And that's why
Got it.
during winter it's the kidney food that's important to strengthen your immune system. So it's
Yeah.
different per
So, the
season.
question, paano yung
Yeah.
paano yung like
In the
tayo?
Philippines, it's a bit complicated because we
Yeah.
only have 2 seasons that we know of. But for me,
Yeah.
I think it's 3. There's
Yeah. No, so in terms of the Philippines, we only have yun like more or less just 2 seasons, right? It's the summer and then tag-ulan. But then
sorry, can
I
you
remember
repeat it
talking to
again? I'm having a lot of lags.
yeah. So yeah, so in so in I think Doc Isa also talked about before how a lot of the patients that she would get would have problems with having too much cold in their system because nabubuhay tayo sa aircon. So how do we kind of balance all of that out for our culture and our climate in terms of TCM? So hopefully Dr. Judith gets back.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. The issue basically our lifestyle gets so since you're all time naglag. Okay. Hang on. Are we okay?
Yeah, can you hear me? Did you get the question? I'm not sure. There's a parang pahaba ng pahaba yung lag natin.
Hi. Still registering.
Yes, Doc, I can hear you. I think it's just the lag.
Ayun, I can. Oo nga eh.
Ayun.
Anyway, I think we were talking how with our changing lifestyle. The
Mm.
seasons get influenced by, yeah, I think basically the is that our season.
Parang we lost Doc Judith. Hello, Doc. Oh no. Mm. All right. So Doc Judith is gonna try to just log in again. Ito yung problem sa Pilipinas. Once na umulan, the entire Wi-Fi system goes down. So what I was asking her earlier is, what happens in traditional Chinese medicine where they're so they rely on the four seasons. So for us who only have like two seasons, right? It's like the summer, tag-ulan, tag-aircon. Um, how does that work for us in terms of balance? So yay, Doc Judith is back. Hi, Doc.
Yan. Hey! Yan. So basically, my advice for that one is because we're trying to control the weather ourselves already, And
Mm,
how do you do that? We still eat this possible, no? For the temperature, we change the way we live.
mm,
Exposure outside. Can it air through, okay? Besides, if there's proper ventilation, it shows that less of the virus rather than stagnant air or aircon air that has been kept there for a long time.
ah,
So through and through ventilation is still good. Sunshine is all there. And that's how you get
oo,
your vitamin D activated in your body, your natural vitamin D.
mm,
Yeah. And vitamin D is very important. Like a lot of vitamin D is also a building block of a lot of hormones in our body. Okay. That's how important it is.
mm,
So yeah, we still need sunshine. So as much as it's permitted in your area, if you have windows, good for you.
mhm,
If your living room is where you can still walk around, then good for you. Take advantage of your situation. Hindi lahat ng
mm,
kababayan natin may ganyang meron silang ganyan na what do you call luxury, no? It's already a
yeah,
luxury to be able to walk around. Can you imagine that? So just take
yeah,
advantage of it.
totoo. So
So
it's
in
really working
cases
with
like
what we
those,
got.
there are actually some fruits, Chinese medicine fruit, yeah, and yes, yes. So if we're able to we're able to have seasonal fruits. Kasi ang hirap na nung seasonal vegetables halos wala ka nang makita because of commercialization. So now you have no idea of which one is good for you or no. So since we only have two seasons, basically we have humid
Yeah.
hot season, and we have rainy season. That's the only we have, and they're basically similar to summer and spring. Uh, Times I think there's a third one, which is dry and cold season,
Mm-mm.
which usually happens January to start of March. So
Yeah.
you can feel that there's no rain, but it's always cool, and the air tends
Mm-mm.
to be more on the drier side.
Yeah.
So that for me is the third season of the Philippines. So
Mm.
correct me pag-asa, but that's my perception. So
That's
that's
what it feels like for
so if you
sure.
take note of the seasonal fruits, that's why it's important to go local. Yeah, go local. So go for the fruits that are in season. Nature provides. Whatever was in season at that time is probably the best for the body. But of course, again, no, too much of something is still bad. So balance it out. I mean,
Yeah.
pag mango season, it's not bad, no. It's summer. And see, summer is associated with heat. And
Yeah.
heat is associated with sweet flavor, which means that
Oo nga 'no.
sweet food actually helps stomach during summer times. Even in China, there's something, but sweet thing is amazing. Pertains to the sweet get greens, okay? Millet, but it's not the sweet that we get from the sugar that we use for food. Okay, so
Mm.
it's more on the natural side, natural sugar. So if you see, most of the food that we get during summer is sweet. The fruits that we get, rambutan, mangga,
Yeah.
watermelon actually is a
Mm.
summer food,
Pinya.
which
Mm.
helps digestion during summer, because we have too much heat. Yeah, sweet flavor has a cooling effect on that, and with heat. So that's the use of this fruits.
Mm.
So rainy season naman, we have more of this spicy food actually, paminta, sili. We have the more stronger flavored fruits. So ano pa ba? Um, it's usually they call it an acrid flavor.
Mm.
So there's a difference between the acrid flavor and the spicy flavor. Medyo mahirap
Mm.
siyang i-describe kasi more or less it's the food that when you eat, nakli-clear yung sinuso agad. So yun yung description. So yeah, actually is one of
Mm.
them. So this keeps the body warm. So if you're in an aircon most of the time, you don't drink tea, don't drink coffee. You just put it in your hot water and it will warm up your body immediately.
Mm.
So cinnamon has a heating effect actually. So I think that's why sometimes they add it in coffee. It's added heat.
Got it. That's so
So
interesting.
yun.
Well, and
For
I'm
rainy
listening to you
season,
and
it's
I'm kind of
important.
thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm kind of just listening to you and I'm kind of thinking like it's a lot of fruit, it's a lot of veg, that's seasonal, which is I think that's the practical part, right? The takeaway is like just eat what's in season because that's really the best time to enjoy it. But I think a common thing then with us Pinoys is we hindi tayo ganon kamagulay. It's something that we really need to learn to kind of do and to kind of
Meat.
enjoy.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
a lot like we're very meat heavy, diba? And I think one of the TCM principles as well, and well, I guess it's like 3 and 4 in terms
Yeah.
of diet is that we should really be eating more than just enjoyment, more than just the lasa. And it's not, it isn't, I was surprised to learn that it isn't pala one size fits all. So what it is that I'm eating necessarily won't be ideal for what you should be eating. Could you kind of explain what that kind of means?
Yeah. 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 So um sometimes we need to we need to specify it per person, customize. True. Whatever
Mm,
issues you might be having with your body might be different from mine, and that's why your food has to change. But if you have no issues at all, or you have let's say you have no time yet to go for a consult, it's always best to think about um, just do a balance of both. So we're talking about vegetables and fruits not being not a staple of Filipino food. And in truth, oo, malakas talaga tayong kumain ng meat. In particular, we're very heavy on pork and chicken. So for what about meat? Our season naman the whole season. So is the whole season. We still have a cutoff warm and cold meat or neutral actually. Ang warm and neutral natin is the red meat and the white meat. Neutral is usually fish.
mm,
So if you know that you have a lot of heat issues, ang heat issue po natin can be seen as obesity, no, diabetes, hypertension. If you know you're going to have those issues, it's better to shift to neutral food or neutral meat source, which is fish or the white meat ng chicken. If we have issues about very low immune system, then and you always yun yung cold sinasabi Isa before, we recommend the red meat. But again, if it is recommended, and this rings true even in Western medicine, just because it's recommended doesn't mean it's unlimited eating. It's still
mm.
really doing the balance, no? Yung right
Totoo.
amount enough for you to feel that you are full. Yun lang naman yun.
Mm. I think that's what a
Yeah.
lot of us
So
forget, no?
speaking of ano kasi neutral foods, no, or neutral meat and warm meats. One yeah. Sorry. So I was about to introduce gelay kasi. So this is an interesting diet because it's specific for pregnant women. Gelay is a 30-day diet. Postpartum or women about to give birth usually eat. And it's made up of white, neutral meat. We know that when women give birth, we give up a lot of our yin and yang energy. Yin energy because we use that to create a human being.
Mm,
Laboring, all those yang energy goes out of the body.
mhm,
And so we need to replenish this to be able to provide for the baby, for breastfeeding, and then to prevent. So see, this it's two points again for TCM is one, uh, attending at that moment what the body needs, and the second one is to preventing. So number one, we need to replenish the yang energy of the woman who just gave birth. And the second
mhm,
one is to prevent the woman from having a lot of issues in the future. More particularly particularly it's related to immune system. So, the belief is that ang babaeng kapapanganak, mas madali siyang makakapitan ng sakit. And more likely, these are cold issues. So, rheuma or arthritic issues. They easily get cold or infection. So, yon, that's a preventive side. And what they give women would be a lot of red meat and neutral soups. Also, red is actually a particular fruit that, or berry, plum, that I would like to discuss as well, which is the red date, or the, some call it big date. Or in English, they're called jujubes. Jujube. We get it mostly in the market as a red, dried up, prune-looking fruit. And what they do in China is this: when they cook the rice, or porridge, they always include one of this one in their plate, and they eat a boiled or a steamed jujube daily. That's their vitamin C.
Galing.
So
So, parang siyang
that is
kamukha mo
one of a
almost.
TCM immune booster that they have. And going back to what we said about the stomach. Oo. So, going back again to what we said about the stomach being the center of everything, including providing your lung system, actually. Because if we see actually the 5 elements, and if you remember the discussions with Doc Isa and the other TCM doctors, uh, the stomach is the mother of your lungs. So if the mother is weak, then the son or the daughter will also be weak. That sounds so Chinese. That's
Galing.
actually the concept there. You strengthen your stomach so that you strengthen your lungs, or you strengthen your immune system. So that's the point. And one of the food strengtheners of your stomach is called a Hawthorne fruit. So it looks like a tiny apple. If in case you go to Taiwan or any predominantly Chinese country, you can see this skewered like barbecue and coat sugar. So mukha siyang how do you say this? Sa Japan, kung meron sila nung egg na binarbecue nila, parang ganun yung itsura, but it's coated with rock sugar. They eat that every time after meals because it boosts your digestion. So they usually eat this after meals to
Interesting.
boost metabolism. Especially during summer. Yeah, especially during summer kasi mostly in summer maraming oily food kasi syempre lalabas mga tao, saan yung mga street food. So sir, you can also use as a street food surprisingly. So for those asking, ano po yung Hawthorne fruit? This is the sour plum, yung ginagawang sour plum. Usually, we were eating this as candies as kids. If you remember, their flat discs.
Haw
Tapos
flakes.
kulay red siya or maroon and sour taste. So that's Hawthorne fruit. But usually, it's eaten as haw flakes, exactly. So yung mga, kunwari, naglalaro tayo, nasa misa tayo, yun yung gamit sa nakikita ko sa mga bata before. Yeah, haw flakes. And sometimes, during the summer also, a lot of Southeast Asian and Taiwan, actually, they use this powder on fruits to give it a more sour flavor. So, pang-balanse din siya. There. For those naman who are having a difficult time with metabolism, like nag-slow down metabolism, Hawthorne fruit is good. The other fruit is called Goji Berry. So the Goji Berries, they only little at a time also. So usually, nakakasama to sa boiled food lang. And the flavor is very neutral. That's why they add this to a lot of things. wala siyang added na taste that. So might as well eat it, especially for those who are particular. I might try it in sinigang and let's see how it works. So yun, in particular, if you strengthen your stomach system, no, you strengthen your immune system, and that's how food enters in the TCM diet to strengthen your immune
Mm.
system.
Mm-mm.
Yun siya.
Galing. So it really is about like strengthening the gut, which is also parang like one of the things na pinakatinitingnan and inaalagaan in terms of functional medicine. Really taking a look at
Yeah.
our gastrointestinal system. So that it makes so much sense to think na yun yeah, this is like a 2,000 year old or 2,000 plus year old kind of way of looking at health that is still super super relevant today. It's kind of crazy, no? If you kind of think na parang alam na ng Chinese to before pa. And it's so practical. It's something that we can really apply right away. There is no need for to go out and buy different supplements. You don't need to spend 6 months on a cleanse or anything. It really just is being aware of the food that you're eating, and then being aware of how it affects your systems, and then trying to balance it out just to make sure that we stay as healthy as possible. So Dr. Judith, in terms of what you were explaining earlier of like good food that we can eat that kind of helps like other parts of our bodies, like our metabolism, etc. For people who, let's say, like tayo, ang hilig natin sa oily food and salty food, what other parang berries or what other herbs, etc., can we use to kind of
Mm-mm.
offset all that oil, 'di ba? Parang ang hilig natin kumain ng adobo, tapos I have my brother pa, pag kumakain ng adobo, gusto niya yung may parang that layer of mantika on top. Like for him, yun daw yung
The
nagpapasarap.
oil.
Alam mo yun? So like for people na yun talaga yung gusto or mahilig sa humba. Mga ganon, like what can they
Yung
eat
may
maybe
lumalangoy pa.
after? Oo. What can they eat after so that can help neutralize maybe all that oil, so hindi naman kawawa yung gut natin trying to wade through all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So of course, number one, better pa rin na option is to control yung amount to eat. It's okay to eat it as long as you're bored pa rin. But in case like, syempre, may mga times na papasubo na rin and it was beyond the control, no? Again, if it's summer, no, it centers around sweet. And when I say sweet, again, it's pertaining to the grain sweet. So yung grain sweets would be grains mo, roughly, a better option as a sweet one would be the rice, brown rice, yung mga rice na may kulay, or yung mga grains that are
Mm-hmm.
fiber rich. So for example, your adlay, yan ang isang nakikita ko, dumadami na yung kumakain ng adlay. And I think that's why the shirataki works as well. It's because it's a high fiber source that can pull up or that can complement the oiliness of the food. So anything that's high fiber, sugar source. So fruits also can help with that one. So yung high fiber natin na fruits, actually marami din yan. Um, if you eat it with that food, then it could help with the oiliness from animal feed, which is actually not good for the digestive system. Green leafy vegetables, that's already high fiber.
Mhm.
If you eat red rice with your, say, your adobo, your fatty adobo, that's also helping, no? So
Yeah.
instead of eating maybe your white rice, you could shift maybe to something that's less processed na rice, which are
Mm.
the colored. They're local probably for a
Mhm.
reason. It's because of the type of food
Yeah.
that we have here in our country. So yun lang. I think the main point there is to eat local. It's okay to still consume food like this, but you have to know where. I think alam naman natin yan eh. Eating is instinct. In any food that we're eating, alam mo na kung nasobrahan ka. And I think
Mm.
it's just that you need to know when to stop.
Yeah.
And probably to shift to other more fibrous rich food if you have had a lot of intake of those food.
Mm. It really is about balance. So I mean, we know when the food that we're eating isn't good for us, but we do it anyway. So it is a choice. But if that is something that you indulge in every so often, that's fine. And then just
Yeah.
follow Doc Judith's advice of, yeah, adding more fiber to your diet so it can like absorb and get it out of your system as fast as possible. Doc, we have a question here from Din Din Fu. He says, "Hi from rainy Singapore. It's rainy here too. Could you share how teas like green, black, white, or herbal can help in TCM? Is there a particular timing for a type of tea?"
Yeah. Yeah. So, sige. Which ones are hot, which ones are cold, which ones are neutral. The black teas actually are more on the warmer side, and these are those teas. They actually it's quite weird. They don't sneeze, so there.
Mm,
Yung mga red, so if it's cold and not humid, it's drier. These are the teas that are
mhm,
better. They're good for the body. When the air is particularly good, it's dry. The best teas that you can drink are the white teas. Yeah, so ito yung jasmine tea.
mm,
So, sometimes they also mention black teas for diet, and this is in particular oolong tea. So there
yeah.
are some exceptions where oolong black tea is being consumed in summer, and that's oolong tea, and it aids for digestion. For
Mm,
green tea, green is also considered neutral, so actually you can drink this the whole year round. So it's almost the same as the white tea. White tea you can drink if you have no issues with, say, body temperature. If you have no or you have problems with your immune system, then I would probably, and if you don't have any if you have what else, if you have issues naman with summer, no, when you have sweating issues, it's better to go towards your white teas as well, because they have a cooling
mm,
property. There's a particular tea that they call swan meitang, which is actually in translation it means sour sweet drink. This is warm and humid outside. It's more like bitter sweet. It comes from on your sour and your sweet. So the purpose of sour is to add more of the cool. The sour is to improve fluids in our body, because this
Oh, we lost Doc Judith again. But yeah, I think she kind of went through most of it, Din. So in terms of like the muggy weather that we're having this morning, I guess it's best to enjoy a cup of Earl Grey, nice black tea, and for the hotter weathers, you can enjoy the white, and then green tea is neutral, so you can have that all year long. Tama ba, Doc Judith?
yep.
Awesome. Okay, so I think that's kind of it for us for
Basic,
today.
yeah.
Doc Judith, before I let you go, do you
So
have
the tasting,
ayun,
there's only a, yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Din says thanks. Yeah, so no, Doc Judith, before I let you go, do you have kind of like a last tip
Okay.
for people who want to
Okay.
start their TCM diet journey? What is the most practical thing that they can do?
Oh, okay. It's actually the easiest follow na lang, no? Are these points. One is always go local. So go for seasonal food, because more likely these are food that really fits that body. Secondly, to balance it out. Too much or too little is a bad thing. The third one is know how to protect stomach. Primarily, the stomach doesn't like very oily and very spicy food. So spicy and oily food are okay, but consuming too much of it will really weaken your stomach. And you have to remember that the stomach provides for everything in your body. And that's how important it is. So yun lang yung three takeaways that are very basic to TCM. Um, go local, eat seasonal food. That's what it means to go local in your country. Second
Mm.
is strengthen your stomach to strengthen the immune system. So try to avoid. Third one is out. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's so practical, easily applicable, and yeah, hopefully this just the awareness of taking care of our gut and what we kind of put into it and how it relates to our health is just eye-opening. So thank you so much, Dr. Judith, for joining us this morning. For people who want to find you, I know you're not at the central clinics yet, but where can people get a hold of you? Just in case we want to talk, TCM some more, or get a checkup for our, I don't know, whatever gut issues we might have.
Yeah. So we're practicing at Centro Holistico. I am practicing at Centro Holistico every Saturdays for now. So it's between
Ah,
10 a.m. and 2 p.m. That's my schedule. But for the rest of the week, we are available. There are doctors available for consultations. I think we have online consult. So, just log into Centro and send queries there.
yeah.
For everybody who are trying to do their best during this pandemic to keep healthy, I have contributed to your knowledge that you can be able to use this every day or incorporate it a little bit of a time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
So yeah.
100%. Thank you so much, Dr. Judith, for adding so much value to our morning. It was such an interesting chat. I hope we could do this again. So yeah, that's kind of it for us, guys. Please enjoy your Sunday. Be kind to yourselves, and we will see you again next time. Bye, guys.